Hey guys, how's it going? Today we have Will Smith here, our top 8 finalists for last Sunday's Dragon Ball Regionals. How are you going, Will?
Look, I'm doing alright. So I got 7th over the weekend playing Blue Baby. I decided to take a little bit of an extra twist on this one. Not going to bury the lead, so we'll just start off with really the big difference maker. And that is this package here. So we are running all of this. This is the Bojack package. This takes the place of something like the Freezer engine or something like that in other baby builds. And my logic behind this was pretty simple. This was a 2 out of 3 event, so sideboards were obviously allowed, so I assumed people would be bringing in the sideboard hate. So I wanted as many ways to untap as possible, and I saw that recent SS3 Goku build that was running some of this sort of package, so I figured I could integrate that in there. So started off with the 4 Zeno super combos. They are just a free untap. I know some people were hedging with like 2 Zenos, 2 Vegetas, somewhere in that region. I really like the flexibility here, especially since you can do tricks with like the Galactic Buster and the Evil Doer. For example, if you have just a Zeno in hand and a Galactic Buster in hand, you can actually play one of these from 0 energy. You just like pick something up with the Zeno, untap it, play the Galactic Buster, then you get to play this for 2.
And also make an opponent bottom deck a card, very good.
And make the opponent bottom deck a card. The other one, I also had 2 of this. 2-2 split here with pretty simple. This is for early, this is for late. This is also pretty good late game as it just allows you to push through as it doesn't come in rested. This one does. However, this one's a little bit better defensively, so that's why I went with the split. 3 Galactic Buster. I originally had it at 4, but considering you can pick it up with the Zeno, you can only play 1 a turn, I found 4 a little bit clunky, so I kept with just the 3. The sort of spicy thing that kept everybody a little bit confused throughout the weekend was 2 copies of Quick Shift Majin Buu. Some lists, or most of the Zeno lists, or the Galactic Buster lists rather, play Zangia. But I saw there was a post on the DBS group a while back that there was an Obuni from, I want to say, the original Tournament of Power Booster that like bottom decked one and drew you a card. This I just felt was better. So the Zangia is just a straight draw, so that is card advantage instead of this card cycling. However, the thing I liked about this was threefold. One, it was a 10k, so with the Zangia being a 5k, you're usually just hunting for that other 5k anyway. Baby doesn't have a huge amount of combo power, so this sort of rolls that into 1. Second, you can have clunky hands, so you've got the sort of wrong answers, so this allows you to shuffle that away, get new answers. And the third thing is, with Baby, you've got that ability that allows you to look at the top 3 of your deck, put one of them back into your hand and one of them back at the bottom. This allows you to cycle that through and make it so you effectively don't have those cards dead unless you're playing in a very protracted game. And then 4 beams, since I was already leaning hard into the untapped side of things anyway. I know Baby's been cutting this just worked for me. Also, considering that I have quite a few double strike threats now with the 4 Bojacks here, it just allowed for a little bit more aggression, a little bit more ways to close out the game, since I don't have any other freezes or Obunis or any other finishes like that.
Very spicy.
So the next package is pretty basic. This is my Unison stuff, so 2 Heroic Prospect, 3 God Sealing, 4 Boos. This card is really good. But with that new Zamasu that's coming in, for the record, the promos such as Zamasu were not legal for this tournament because nobody really had them. I think it was like 1 guy, and we decided that would be completely unfair. So, running these 4, it is a lot worse against that Zamasu, so it's possible you might want to go back to the Baby Unison now, but this just did a lot of work. Just good finisher, good defensive card, all of that jazz. 3 of this. Honestly, I could feel myself going down to 2. It didn't come up a huge amount. I had other counterplayers, which you'll see later, that just put in a little bit more work than this. And with this Unison coming in so late, this really felt like a last-ditch thing that didn't do a huge amount of work. It did enough that I'd like to keep it in, but I could easily see myself cutting or cutting down. And if this is something that gets hit on the ban list, I don't think it's a big thing. Finally, only 2 Heroic Prospects. This felt correct to me. Honestly, the Floodgate effect almost never came up. Admittedly, I did not play against Dark or Red Broly, which is where the Floodgate most often comes up. This was honestly just here as like a good creature negate, but again, with your unison coming down so late, it's possible I might want to sub these out. 2 felt fine, and I do have 2 more on the sideboard, as you'll see, for the red and black Broly matchups primarily. But again, this card is good, but I could see myself moving away if I continued playing this deck and if I found something a little bit more purpose-built. Next is my just general counterplays package. So these cards were the last additions to the deck. These were originally another Kami. So the deck I'm running is 51 plus Field Spell. So this was originally just like not in the deck, and then I had another Kami, and these were the Bojack, sorry, not the Bojack, the Baby and the Go 10 counters. Last minute, I'm just like, look, there's not much at 4 or 3 I really want to counter. Most of the stuff I'd want to hit has Deflect anyway, so Baby Ape, for example. Sorry, the only thing that doesn't have it that can be hit is the 4-drop Ape out of Mecha. That didn't come up that often. This still hits 2-drops, which the thing I was most worried about in that slot was the 1-drop counterplays, or sorry, the 1-drop Silver Bullets out of the sideboard, as well as King Piccolo in the red-green King Vegeta deck, and this dealt with both of those, as well as the big 5-drop Vegeta, which can also be a little bit of a hindrance. And then Hit honestly really outperformed throughout the day. It dealt usually with a Bergamo and something else in those matchups. Just dealt with little things here and there. I've actually been really down on this card lately, but now I'm really seeing the merits. And then 3 Baby Ape Golden Avenger. So, couple of reasons I put this in. One, I wanted another 10k because Galactic Buster does require a 10k. This isn't the best thing to use with it, but it does stop it from being entirely dead in the hand. And you can just pull it back with Zeno if you really need it later. And honestly, I was a little bit light on finishes, and this allowed me to up that number. The other big value this got for me was one of the big things that really hurts me is the yellow Goku, the 3 cost that makes all your extra cards cost an additional card. I believe it's the Annihilator. This, honestly, a lot of the time I'd wait till like a cold player goes down. I'd get up to 6 energy, wait till a cold player or a mecha player, whoever has 5 or less, they play something, so they go down to like 2 energy, I bounce it to the bottom of the deck, whatever, they're out of that, and then I like chain my Dimension Magics, my Revenge Big Bang attacks, all of that up the thing. I really like 3, wouldn't change it unless something drastic happened. Next is just the baby stuff. 4D Magic, 4 Revenge Big Bang, 4 Minion, and yeah, hell's the secret, why not, we'll chuck that in the package. This was just really good, not only as a negate, but as a creature negate. Revenge Big Bang, you know what it does in the tin. Dimension Magic also does the same. A big use case I had for these cards specifically was I would, if I was under that Goku that I mentioned before, 1 life, you can take a life with Dimension Magic, untap an energy, so you still go plus, you just go +1 instead of +2, and then you can chain the Revenge Big Bang attacks out of your hand, and that saved me a lot in some of those matchups, even if I did play mostly against blue on the day. Minion, really not much to say there. It's good, you get to draw off it, nice. And then the secret rare, it's the only secret rare you play. It is a little bit dicey against the yellow decks at the moment because of the cooler counterplay. That said, you can usually get up to 5 energy, have your counter there, and if you can get this into your counter, that's usually just lights out. Finally, we'll just go into my sort of one-ofs. This card outperformed throughout the day. This is really strong. I'd honestly consider moving it up to 2. I do have a second in the side. It is a little bit slow at 4 energy, or even 3 with the field spell. But you play it on counterattack or counterplay, bounce something, usually some sort of floodgate because your opponent will feel safe. Then you unlock your hand through that, you draw a card, and it's 20k to pressure them with. This card was really good. It saved me in a huge amount of scenarios. Between this and the Golden Ape, I was managed to survive getting Super 17s 2 or 3 times in a single game, like the big blue 7-drop one. So yeah, this card is fantastic. You find it when you need it, but I wouldn't mind another one. Mechior bobbing and weaving as a one-of feels a bit strange. Everybody thought it was a bit strange, but my logic here is the reason I constructed the deck in the way I did was to get away from being hit so hard by the hate bears. This really gets hit by the hate bears, the one-drops, the silver bullets, but I still wanted a good creature negate, and especially against Mecha, this provided that, and I just always sided this out game 2 as not many people are going to be mainboarding those anyway, so this was just a nice, easy side. Gave me a bit in game 1. That said, I think I sided out in literally every game, but I would still keep it in the main. Mafuba just deals with a problematic thing. Again, usually they get overzealous swinging with some sort of hate bear or bowjack or something like that. You'd freeze it out, and that usually gets you the time to dig yourself out of whatever hole they buried you in. Through Shrouded in Mystery, because I needed a finisher, and this just works. Again, against that new Zamasu, it's a little bit dicier, although it does shut it off, so, like, I don't know. This came out a lot in mecha matchups just because of Cold Bloodlust. I don't know how correct that is if you need the threat there, but you do have other finishers. Still dicing on that, but, you know, if you get Bloodlusted, you're boned, and it's not like you're going to get up to 11 energy to play your counter alongside it. If I go back to running the Baby Unison, I would absolutely keep this in, though, as you can just ultimate your Unison, play this, and that's a really, really strong finisher. Final card in the main was just a single Kami Global Unifier. It gave me a way to draw cards, gave me a way to use the energy off my Brew Unison, and honestly this card just won me games. My round 2 match against Benny on Mecha, this is the thing that got me over the line in that first game, just because nobody expects the game on Kami, blows at their board, and then you can just re-establish there. Honestly, the biggest value this has is clearing out their hate, because once you've done that, you can re-establish your board, and that's when you get the lock.
Yeah, especially gets rid of the 3-drop in Mecha, very good.
Yep.
Kami, go boom.
Kami, go boom.
Let's
Alright.
see your sideboard.
Sideboard. 3 Dabura Ritual hand. So my logic with this sideboard is I didn't want to mess around with like marginal value cards. I wanted cards that would either solve my bad matchups or get someone get. This was for hand control. The only hand control match I played against was a King Cold in my last round. So my rounds were a Janemba Mill deck, a Mecha deck that was against my teammate Benny, really good match there. 2 ramp SS4 Vegetas in a row for some weird reason, lost one of those, won the other out, and then this King Cold. I drew all 3 of these in the King Cold matchup. He hand controlled me, and I never played these because he had a Marseille out the entire time. This hurts, but again, I don't know if I'd keep it in. It's good, but I don't know if maybe at that point you just gotta assume you lose those matchups. Next, we have 4 of this, 2 of this. So these were for the big boy matchup, so Red and Black Broly. I didn't play any Red and Black Broly, as you just heard. The only big energy stuff I played against was Ramp. These obviously don't do much against that. I did occasionally side in a Heroic Prospect over the Mechiorp when I was getting away from that, just to have another creature negate, but honestly, I think this was correct. I just sort of guessed wrong on what the meta was. It happens. Well. 4 Protector of the People. This card is nutty.
Best card.
Yeah, this was the best card on the sideboard that I played by far. It just slows down Mecha Frieza so much. It's also relatively low committal. Even under the hate bears, it's only 2 energy, and it's strong enough that you can usually actually bait out their cooler with it, and then follow up with either chaining a bunch of Dimension Magics and Revenge of the Bang attacks, or just your secret rare. Some people have said I should go down to 3. I like this at 4 because I want to see multiples, either after I've baited the cooler or just to play 2 in a turn or 2 in subsequent turns. You unfortunately can't search it off the leader's skill, as that's only blue extra cards, so I do think the full 4 is necessary, and I wouldn't change it. And then last 2 sideboard cards, pretty simple. Another of this is mostly for on the play against Mecha, just because they go into their 3-drop Goku, you play this, bounce it back to their hand, you've still got all your energy up. It's also, again, good against stuff like, say, the big Super 17. Does a lot of work. Again, this may even move into the main. And then Kami Go Boom. Just good.
Self-explanatory.
It does what it does. Yeah, so that is the profile. I'd say there might be a couple of things I would change. One thing I'd really like to test out, if I can find the space for it, is a couple of copies of Not Even a Scratch, the black negate that you can walk from your drop, pay an end and draw a card. The main reason for that is, as good as the Boonison is, I found myself not getting full value out of it, as I'd just be fully untapped on my turn, tick up and just draw a card. So if I've got a card like Not Even a Scratch where I can just cycle it as a negate and then later effectively turn this +0 into draw 2, that might be worth a bit of value there. Also moving the Not Even a Scratches to the main board because mech is pretty prevalent. That said, we've got the big ban list coming up especially soon, so yeah, we'll see how that goes. Yep, this Friday, we'll see what it actually does. Aside from that, look, just shout outs to, I guess, Anuka for helping with the deck profile, as well as Peely who's behind the camera. He also lent me a bunch of cards, so did Rowan and Shenton, so thanks to them. Of course, shout outs to my sponsor, Collectors Company. You know, if you want competitive cards for your competitive decks at competitive prices, head to collectorscompany.com.au. We'll sort you out. And then just, yeah, shout outs to the teammates there. My best match was against Benny. That was a real nail biter. And, yeah, congrats to the rest of the top 8. We'll have other deck profiles soon. Catch yous. Bye.